Hi, I'm Rick DeJohnette, and that little thematic solo was based on polyrhythms. So I had an ostinato going with my feet, and I had the metronome on 2 and 4. And I just kept that going, and I was playing all kinds of polyrhythms, groups of 7, 5, 3, 9, all kinds of polyrhythms. And this is a really good vehicle for soloing, and it's also something, as a musician, you should just know, because it's used in jazz, even in rock, pop, funk, obviously classical music, all kinds of music. So you need to know polyrhythms. And there's lots of them. So today we're going to go over the basic polyrhythms, and I'll probably do a follow-up video with the real complicated ones. So we'll start with 2 against 3. All right, that's the most common polyrhythm. You hear that in jazz and all kinds of Latin music, and again in pop and rock music as well. So today I'll be using a metronome, and also I'll be playing some different ostinatos with my feet so we can keep track of these polyrhythms. But I'm also going to show you how to figure them out mathematically, which is really important. And we do that with something we call subdivisions. So in other words, if we want to figure out a complicated polyrhythm that's based on 5s, we would play a subdivision of those 5s. So 16th note 5s, if we want to learn how to play 8th note 5s. So normally, that smaller note subgroup is what you want to do to make sure you're perfectly in time. So when we start with 2 against 3, what we're thinking about is triplets. So if we put triplets on our metronome, like this, we're thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when I started accenting those notes, that became part of that subdivision, but it was every other note. So that's a quarter note triplet if these are 8th note triplets. Now, mathematically, you can figure these things out by using the numbers. So in other words, the 4 against 5, and then the time signature. All those things come together to help you figure out the subdivision. So we'll go over each one, and if there's any mathematical problems, we'll talk about them. So 2 against 3 can obviously work both ways. You can have 3 against 2 or 2 against 3, and that works with all these polyrhythms. So today we'll represent that by me playing the top number that I say on the snare drum and the bottom on the bass drum. So if we do 2 against 3, we're going to play triplets with the bass drum, which sound like this. So in that subdivision, that's how that works. If we do it the reverse way, if we play 3 against 2, our bass drum's in 2, like this. So that's backwards. That's the other way. So every polyrhythm on the drum set needs to be played like that, upside down, okay? If we play 4 against 3, that means that we're playing 4 notes, in this case quarter notes, in the space of 3 quarter notes. So we would be in 3/4, okay? So if we put the metronome on, and let's set a tempo, maybe 110. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So there, my hand, the snare drum, is playing the 3, and my foot's playing the 4. If we turn it around, it sounds like this. Now, a good way to figure that out mathematically is this. You multiply 4 times 3, and that gives you 12. Now, you want to figure out the subdivision to use. So in this case, 4 times 3, that's 12. You need 12 16th notes, all right? Because 12 16th notes are what's in 3/4 time signature. So you need 12 notes. And then, since it's 4 against 3, every third note you're going to accent. So that sounds like this. So that's a little application groove-wise on the drum set, up and down. That also is a rhythm you can write out, and I'll show that to you on the screen here as well. That some of these you can actually write out so you can see how they sound in 16th notes or triplets. The next one is 3/4. So this one you're going to use triplets because it's 3/4 and will be in 4/4. So 3 times 4 is 12. And then you know you need 12 notes in that bar once again, but if we're in 4/4 time, those 12 notes are going to need to be triplets. So let's set our metronome on triplets, and we'll go to 4/4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we're going to speed it up just a hair. And let me play those triplets, and then will accent the notes that we need to do. Now, we could figure that out with the same math. So in other words, 3 times 4 is 12. We have 12 notes. But that means every fourth triplet is going to be accented. So So again, a little groove application to that. This is used a lot in rock music. If you listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer and those progressive rock bands, Yes, all that stuff from the 70s and a little bit into the 80s, you'll hear that all the time. So that's a common one. So let's try a trickier polyrhythm now. Let's do 5 against 4. So that means there's going to be 5 notes in a bar of 4/4. So if you do the math, 5 times 4 equals 20, and then 4 into 20 goes 5 times. That means our underlying subdivision is going to be 16th note groups of 5, so quintuplets. You're going to divide 20 notes by 5, okay, and then you get 4, and then that means every fourth note you're going to accent in those groupings of 5. And that sounds like this. I'll play the 5s first, and then I'll add the accent. I can do that same thing with a different sticking. So let's try paradiddles. Once again, I'll play the 16ths before I start. So that's that same thing with a paradiddle sticking. Some of these polyrhythms I like to practice over different ostinatos. This one I like to do over a samba ostinato, which is tricky. So I'll set up this ostinato like this. And then I'll work on playing my hands over that. And then I might play around the toms and so forth. Let me give you a little demo of how I practice this. So we'll put on the metronome again. I'll get the ostinato started, and I'll start playing those 5s. So that works really well for soloing. Now let's try 4 against 5. So again, for these ostinatos, it gets a little tricky when you have to do the longer polyrhythms. In this case, 4 against 5, we're going to be in 5/4. That's the bottom number, obviously. So, and our subdivision will be 16ths. So let's set the metronome for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that one works really well for grooving. All right, 4/5. And remember, we're going to have 20 16th notes in that bar 5 as a subdivision. And then you're going to accent every 5th note. And if we play in 5/4 with that ostinato, we're actually looping around. So we got 3 things going on there. We got the feet playing in 4 in an ostinato, and then we got the polyrhythm on top of that. And then we have all those inner rhythms being played as well, those 16ths. Let's try one more for you. Let's do some 7s. These are pretty complex here. So a 7 is just like the 5. We're going to fit that in to a quarter note. So let's slow down the metronome here for you. Maybe 100's a good tempo, I think so. And we'll put the beep on, we'll do 7/4 first. So I'll put the beep on quarter notes every 4 beats. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, that's pretty fast if you're playing those subdivisions. Now for this, we'll do the math. It's a little bigger numbers here. So 7 times 4 is 28, all right? And we have a 4/4 bar, so we know we have to have 7 notes in there. So we're going to play groups of 7, like I just said. And we're going to accent every 4th note. So those are 7s. Now let's try playing an ostinato under that. We'll do the same one. That's as complex as we'll get in this lesson, and I'll do another one on some trickier polyrhythms. The best thing to do is do them on a pad, like I said earlier, with a metronome, and then introduce your feet as you learn each one. And then once they're, ingrained in your brain and you're practicing them a lot, they will work their way into your playing. So I hope this helped, and we'll see you next time.